But yeah, moving on to Mortal Kombat.
There we go.
So
Classic.
yeah,
Classic.
before we talk about that though, I'm
Oh,
glad
oh,
we're doing this because I was reminded of something else. So, do you remember it was called Mortal Kombat: The Journey Begins?
is that the animated series?
No, but it was an animated movie that came out before the live action movie. It was supposed to be like a lead up to them. It's not at all.
No, I didn't know that. I know they had an animated series when the
Hmm.
movie came out, but that was the only thing I knew of.
Yeah, so The Journey Begins. I watched this all the time as a kid because it also had like behind the scenes of the movie, and I could not
Hmm.
wait for this movie to come out. And it's so bad, dude. It is so bad. Last time I watched it, it was on YouTube. It's only like 30 minutes long. But if you have the chance to check it out because it's so terrible. And they they reuse the same animation over and over and over. It's almost like watching an episode of like Space Ghost Coast to Coast is the best way I
No,
can describe it. And it's
or any like Adult Swim animated series
kind of
from the 90s.
it's so bad, but yeah, and along with that, Mortal Kombat the album. I got to bring this up. Um, I don't know if you've seen it. I bought it a little while ago. I remember as a kid, I wanted the soundtrack for this movie.
Oh, I had it on cassette.
For the soundtrack for the movie?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I badly wanted it because of the awesome techno theme song, which even to this day, like every time I hear it, I just want to kick someone's ass. Like
It
it's
isn't also some of the songs by Fear Factory, if
so
I'm correct.
there's a couple of like industrial bands on it, but when I bought this, I bought the wrong album. I bought Mortal Kombat
Mm.
the album, and I wasn't disappointed because it still had the theme song. But the band that made the theme song basically made this album of songs based off every single character in the first Mortal Kombat.
Huh.
It is pure cheesy nostalgia or like '90s dance. I freaking love it. And I remember being so confused because I was like, wait, I don't remember any of these songs being in the movie. I was so confused.
It's maybe it's like the alternate album that they just never released for the movie
Oh man, if this, I
for their
don't,
fights.
I don't know if this would have made the movie better or worse, but it's just great. With that being said, yeah, the journey begins. It got a 3.7 on IMDb. But the movie itself, surprisingly, we're
Mhm.
jumping up. I think I wrote down what 5.8 out of 10.
I honestly I feel like that movie could have gotten a higher rating
I'd say. I mean, I
because
probably
it's the closest at the time related to the story of the games and was more accurate based on games than any other movie at the time.
yeah, they obviously understood the source material to an extent compared to
Mhm.
some of the other movies. Um, and it was just like the casting I thought was great. The story made sense for the most part, unlike
Mhm.
Street Fighter. But
Mhm.
I mean, obviously everybody complains about the lack of fatalities, and the lack of blood. Um, I mean, this movie would have bombed in the '90s. Just
Yeah.
it would have, and because like I've said it before, like Mortal Kombat was such a weird concept because it was directed towards adults, but the vast majority of people playing it were
For
young.
children.
Yeah, and obviously that's all that controversy that was going on in the '90s, and
Mhm.
let's make a movie. No studio is going to make a rated R Mortal Kombat movie in the '90s because
Yeah. And it was by New Line Cinemas, if I remember
I
correctly.
believe so. Yeah, and I feel like they made the right choice. I mean, there's still violence. I mean, there's fight scenes in it. Um,
I mean,
you know,
there's technically fatalities, but it's not like blood. Like
yeah.
the first like fight you see with Sub Zero. I mean, the guy is like kicking in the air, and then Sub Zero just ice bombs him, and he
Oh
just
yeah.
shatters everywhere. And then Shang Tsung's like flawless victory.
Which I do like how he says that several times, and it has nothing to do with the game.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, this is a movie I love going back and watching. It's just it's a lot of fun, and it was done well for the time.
It still holds up
Yeah, it
to
does.
this day.
Yeah, I mean the
I
fight
mean
scenes.
the graphics is probably a little cheesy now, but I mean the rest of the movie still holds up pretty well.
Yeah, I would say like Reptile's effect is. I mean, it's not bad, but it was good for the time. Um, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it had some great fight scenes. I think you had mentioned what Johnny Cage and Scorpion was your favorite.
Yeah, that's my favorite of the where they're in the woods and then they go to the out realm when he goes to that portal with Johnny Cage.
Yeah, that I mean, like, yeah, especially the fight between Liu Kang and Reptile was probably always my favorite as a kid. Even though that part
Hmm.
doesn't make any sense. I don't get the statue, and he gets thrown into the statue and gets turned into a human. I have no idea what's going on there. But
Also, I felt like the monks cheated with Liu Kang and Sub-Zero by leaving the water there. Like they knew one of them was gonna use the water to kill Sub-Zero.
yeah, yeah, you know, use the element that brings life.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, like I said, the casting was just spectacular, and to this day, like I love the fact that Kerry Tagawa's come back and like redone Shang Tsung and like the video game he did Mortal Kombat Legacy. It holds up to this day. But then you have Annihilation, which you, which you still haven't seen, right?
I don't want to. I know you told me to watch it, but I was like, I don't know about that.
So I remember. Here's the fun thing about like growing up in the '90s. Like the thing that kind of sucks about movies nowadays is like you know before a movie's being made, you know that hey this movie's coming out. You know back then I didn't know that. I didn't really read like magazines or anything. So I just remember like I'm sitting there watching TV, and all of a sudden I see the trailer for Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and I flipped out. You know, so it was kind of especially going to the theaters too. It was kind of the thing you didn't know about a movie coming out, and there it is.
Or you see the picture for it as a poster or something like that. It's like, what?
Yeah. So like it kind of sucks nowadays. Like I mean, it's still exciting when it comes out, but back then you didn't really know unless you were like reading magazines.
Hmm.
But as a kid, yes, I love this movie. As an adult, I still love it. It's so bad.
Is it another kind of cheesy go-to film?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's just obviously this movie was a cash grab. I mean, because the same love was not put into it, but it's just so ridiculous and so bad.
Yeah, because the original one was done by Paul C. Anderson or Paul S. Anderson.
Yeah,
I think that's yeah.
something like that.
And yeah, Paul Anderson. I just know it's Paul Anderson. But she did not do the second film, and then he also did not want to be known as the guy who does video game movies.
Well,
Let's fast forward to that later on.
how'd that work out for you?
Right?
Yeah,
Three of them.
I just I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, they clearly weren't thinking. And the one thing that kind of blew my mind was like later on finding out that Chinook was in the movie, and which is weird because like they never mention his name, but it's Shao Kahn's father in this game, but he's credited as Chinook, and I'm like, that's so fucking weird. But oh my god, dude, the best part about this movie though, that I think either you'll love or just die laughing. I can't tell what will happen, but the final fight scene between Liu Kang and Shao Kahn. So earlier in the movie, Liu Kang meets up with Nightwolf and he learns about animalities and all this kind of stuff. And so at the end, Liu Kang turns into this dragon, maybe. I can't even tell you. And then Shao Kahn turns into this like serpent hydra multi-headed thing, but it looks like a 1930s 1940s like Godzilla fight scene. It's so bad.
Is that claymation looking?
I think it's CG, but it looks so bad. Like I can't even. You just have to see it. Like there's no way of explaining it. It's so ridiculous, but man, I love this movie for how bad it is. But moving on from there. Oh, I didn't mention. Yeah, Annihilation with its 3.7 out of 10.
Yeah, that deserves it.
Yeah, you know what? I think Double Dragon could be a little bit higher, but you know what? Fair enough.